Hello, welcome back to Topper Machine. I'm Josh Topper, and we are out here again at the Dragline for our follow-up video. If you're new to the channel, the follow-up video is where I answer viewers' questions and comments about the last video, which was Saturday, where we put the track rollers back on and reassembled the tracks. And then I also asked a question to the viewers of who would be interested in a work weekend to help put this together, do some adjusting, maybe put the cylinder on the steam engine, you know, things like that to help out with these big heavy projects. There was a lot of great response to that question. I don't know when that weekend would be though. That's the big question here. Northern Wisconsin, we don't get a lot of good weather, good summer weather. So my wife and I try to take advantage of the summer as much as possible. I've been out here almost every night till just about dark working on projects around the yard. Been working on the sawmill shed, been working on the steam engine, you know, the dragline, things like that. So I don't know when it's going to be because we've got a bunch of camping trips planned. We've got a bunch of family stuff, you know, all kinds of fun summer stuff that we enjoy to do. So I'm going to try to pick some dates and do a community tab post here in a few weeks. Just throw it out there and see if any of those would work for anybody. If we can get a few people together, we'll make that happen. So on to the questions. There were several questions relating to lock washers or lock nuts and anti-seize on those U-bolts. The reason I did not use any of those is in the original book, they do not show lock washers, or they were not lock nuts either. And realistically, they're going to just rust a little bit and lock. They're not going anywhere. And that's the other reason that I did not use anti-seize is they're going to rust a little bit and lock. They're not going to vibrate loose. They're going to stay on there. And the U-bolts are a consumable. I bought extras when I had them made for the crane to put this all together. So if I ever do need to replace them, I have extras. So that's not an issue. For what I paid for them, I could afford to buy a few extra. Not a big deal. There were questions about paint. Am I going to paint this? Absolutely not. This thing is beautiful the way it is. Now I'm going to probably replace the window glass. I might pressure wash the lichens off the boom. I might do, you know, a couple of things, but am I going to paint it? Absolutely not. And as far as rust prevention, it's not going to rust any further. You know, when the metal gets a fine layer of rust on it, as long as you keep the moisture off of it, it's not going to get any worse. You know, it might over the next 100 years, but I'm going to have this the rest of my life, you know, another 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, who knows? So it's my toy. I'm going to enjoy it. It doesn't need paint. It looks stunning the way it is. I really do like the way it looks. I have painted a few things on it. I painted the deck, the floor inside the cab. That got painted. I think that's about it. But, you know, a lot of people tell me I don't do a good job because I don't paint things, and that is a total crock of shit. I do paint things. Certain things get paint. As of right now, the steam engine, all the parts on that are being painted. I'm painting them all with a very, very expensive paint. The cylinder is painted. All the valve gear is painted right now. We got to start working on the engine base this weekend. I'm going to get that all stripped down and hopefully get that painted this weekend. And then we can start looking at putting it back together. So I do paint things when it's necessary, but most of this stuff, you know, we're not in a harsh climate. We've got some, you know, winter and summer humidity, but once you get that fine layer of rust on, it's not going anywhere. I mean, my F12 Farmall is a fine example of that. That's got that fine layer of surface rust. It has not gotten any worse. You cannot make that get worse. That thing was built in 1933 and it's still solid, very solid. So I'm not concerned about the rust, not concerned longevity. I may spray it all down with boiled linseed oil. That is a good rust prevention, might help, but probably not. You know, there weren't a whole lot of other questions and comments about this. You know, the reality of it is we're doing this because it is cool. It is going to be a cool toy. I've got plans for it all over my property here. I may take it to Hungry Hollow show. I don't know. We'll see what the future brings. But I can use it around here for lifting things. I got a plan. I don't know if we're gonna get there, but of adding a hydraulically driven winch to do a fine control lifting line. So not heavy duty. This crane, I believe, it's a 3/8 yard bucket, but I think the book said it's a 7-ton with the counterweight that I have. Probably closer to 5-ton capacity. It's a very, very handy size. It's a little small. It's actually the smallest crane I have ever ran. And I mean that, ever. Up until I got this, the smallest crane I'd ever run was a 15-ton. Before that 15-ton, the smallest crane I ever ran was a 250-ton. So I've been around cranes my whole life. So this thing is actually a lot of fun. It does run. Somebody did ask that, well, you know, why are you doing all this work if it doesn't run? It does run. Go back and look at the old videos. It runs great. I had a stuck valve on the number 2 cylinder and got that loosened up, and this thing it runs so smooth, it runs so good, and it has 0 blow-by. That motor is tight. It's a Continental F186. I've never seen a Continental with no blow-by, so this thing is pretty good condition. The only thing I know of that I need to do is a front main seal. It is leaking a little oil, but other than that, it's going to be a very sound machine when we get all the little things that need fixing done. There's some carrier bearings that need to be done yet. Put the tracks back on, the drive chains back on, and then just some adjusting and stuff up in the car body, and eventually replacing all the cable. I do plan on replacing the cable, especially the boom cable up there, because I do feel that is probably seeing the most stresses. The main winch and drag cables all look pretty good, but that boom cable I'm most concerned about. So so with that, I think I answered everything. There weren't a lot of questions, just a lot of, you know, that's really cool, you know, and then the paint comments. And so I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned. We got a lot of cool stuff coming, and keep an eye on the community tab on my homepage here. I'll post a set of dates coming up. I don't know when. We'll just get that figured out. And until next time, get out in your shop and get it done right the first time.